Today I feel like I want to share something very simple, and the reason why I'm sharing this is because I've seen some result with this and I don't think I'm good enough to implement it. Good morning traders, welcome back to Taichung. I spent the whole morning trying to fix a thing with plane tickets. We'll get back to this later on. When I get to reach Air China, it took like 40 minutes this morning on the phone and I couldn't even reach them, so that's going to have to wait. Now I'm super hungry and it's going to be time to grab lunch. Let's get started with that day right away. Actually, I think this is going to be good to document because dealing with customer service is one of the toughest thing and the most boring thing ever in terms of traveling. And so here's what happened. To come from Montreal to Asia, you need to take a plane. You could walk, but it's a little bit long. So I decided to buy a plane ticket from Montreal to Singapore. There's no direct flight, so I had to stop by Beijing. And that was of course a return flight. So Montreal to Beijing, Beijing to Singapore, and then to come back Singapore to Beijing, and Beijing to Montreal. I really don't want to hate on Air China. I think they're fine, and I don't know what's the reason behind the change they made, but a couple of weeks ago they emailed me a change of flight. In order to come back to Montreal properly, I have to of course go from Singapore to Beijing first and then Beijing to Montreal second, but they flipped around the flight so that my flight from Singapore to Beijing comes after the one from Beijing to Montreal, which kind of created a whole mess. So instead of having like a proper return flight, I end up with like 3 different flights that are not in the right order at all. And so that's why I try to call them, see if I can fix this. Now let's go grab lunch. And it's starting to rain. Huh. Alright, awesome. Now back in the mood for a trading lesson. Today I feel like I want to share something very simple, and the reason why I'm sharing this is because I've seen some result with this and I don't think I'm good enough to implement it yet 100%. But overall, doing this more and more over time is really the key to success. I'm going to try to head to a park in far from here, the Taichung Park, and we'll see what that looks like. We made it to the Taichung Park. The park in Asia are just amazing. They're just crazy beautiful and everything. So take a look at that. Okay, so let me share with you what I believe to be the simplest trading lesson ever. And it's something I've been repeated many times by my mentors and people that kind of helped me become better in trading and in business. And the lesson is pretty simple. I was once told, just do more of what works. And that's something that is really powerful. Like, it might sound really simple, doing what works, and might sound kind of abstract a little bit if you're starting out. But the more you do what works, the more it works, and the more you grow, and the more you become better. About maybe 2 years ago, I started to trade a strategy with moving averages. That was basically a trending strategy. And for a long time, like a very long time, it didn't work out that well. I was breaking even a lot, having winning trade, losing trade, even though the stats were great in the backtesting. In live, I was just doing too many mistakes, and it just wouldn't work that profitably. And for the time I spent trading that, I don't think it was really worth it. And at that time I was reminded of the advice I'm sharing with you today, which is just do what works and keep doing more of what works. And the other thing that I was doing in the market that really worked was trading these long-term reversals, which I've shared a lot on this channel. So either I could trade different strategies and different things, or I could go kind of more all-in on one strategy, one big thing. So what I did was pretty much simply, as I say, focusing on what works. And I went more all-in on the long-term reversal, and I increased a little bit the frequency of the trade I take, because I was trading less of them at that time, and I went all-in line with multiple time frame. And since this worked better for me, at least, I can focus on that. So you always need to ask yourself, what do you do now that works the most? What have you seen most results with? And this could go with trading, could go with life, could go with dating a little bit, and a lot of different things. I know for a fact that you have some experience in trading. It might not be 1,000 years of research, but at least you know some things. And so try to ask yourself, in all of your trading experience, what is the thing that worked the most? And not only in terms of money, but what is the thing that brought you the best peace of mind, the best clarity, the best effortless trading? What is the thing that works most often and that you would like to trade the most, and try to do more of that. Now, doing more of that could mean researching more that strategy, that setup, or could be just trading it more, going all in on trading that. We can at least focus a little bit on one area, one category of setup, or one category of indicators we can use to trade. And that's exactly what it's about. There's just so much stuff in this park, it's crazy. There are statues, there are kind of, I don't know how you would call these things, but that's beautiful. There are some kind of places where you can eat on this side with like a roof. That's pretty cool. Now see, the only problem with the advice I just gave you about doing what works is that it's kind of easy to get distracted when things don't work, and you stick to what works, but it doesn't work out as you expected, or it doesn't work out well for that period. And that's why you don't want to ask yourself every week, like, what works and what works and what works, because that's going to be really tough to stick to really what works, and you will most likely change like every week of strategy or thing because other things seems to work best. So try to strike up that balance between focusing on what works but also sticking to it a little bit more, and understanding that even though it's not profitable and very successful right now, it's what you've seen in the past to be producing the best results for you in terms of, again, peace of mind and return, of course. And after this walk and talk, I've made it to another cool place which I was recommended to visit, called Yizhong Street, and we'll try to see what that looks like. Apparently it's like a local street with some stores and some, I don't know, we'll just see what it's about, but let's take a look. This is like an area with some small streets and a lot of shops, and we'll just walk around and see what that is about, but there's a lot of stuff. And a lot of music too, so it's quite noisy, but these places have like crazy lines and a lot of people waiting, but that's part of it. Crazy. You really have to come here hungry. I think that's the trick. And I'm not hungry, so that's kind of a bad thing, but let's go back. Alright, now I'm back to the park. I'm gonna be on a lookout for a place to work and spend the afternoon. It's getting a little bit hot outside, but I have to finish video editing from yesterday, which I was supposed to do this morning, but I didn't do it. Let's get to that. And now finish the work, heading back to the hotel for a YouTube live. By the way, I love when the sun's like this and there's like a nice color on all the building. Take a look at that. And that is it, interview complete. I just realized I got stepped out on USD, the trade I talked about a couple of days ago. That's gonna be a break-even trade. Thanks guys for watching, I appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed yet, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow for a new video. Ciao!